Hey guys and gals, today we're going to talk about, this is just another part of my series of beneficial and helping out. So we're going to do a little bit of pay it forward work today. What we've got today is we are going to talk leaky gut, autoimmune, and GMOs, I guess is another way to put it, because those are going to be one of the big things I'm going to focus on, is talking about these genetically modified foods. And so one of the things, the first product I'm going to talk about to help with this leaky gut, because it is so prevalent these days, I'm going to explain a little bit where it comes from, why it's happening, why it's a problem, and a little bit about what to do with it. Now, this isn't the whole answer. Kyle Anthony Troutman and Chris Stefani and I are going to be doing a huge series on this later, but for now, I just want to get you guys the info, so you can start helping yourself a little bit. The product I'm going to talk about today is called Microbe Blast. And Microbe Blast is not only phenomenal for your plants and for your soils and to help keep them healthy with all the stuff that's being sprayed in the air that comes down. This is just really great at helping keep those plants healthy so they don't get that damage from the mold and the funguses and these other things. So there's a great thing, you can dilute it. The instructions are on it. You can dilute it real well, mist your plant's leaves with it, put it in the soil even to help clean up the soil microbes. One of the big things I like to talk about is for yourself. And the instructions are on it here. Basically, it says you'll take 50 drops at one time. I don't remember because I just do different ones amount, but basically you'll start with 25 drops for the first 3 days. Start working yourself up until you hit 50 drops 3 times a day for all of them. And so instructions are on it. Just follow it. It's that easy. What's going to end up happening though is you are going to go number 2 a lot. So be aware of that. It's not going to like erupt out of you, but you probably will notice some smelliness coming out there. You probably will notice that you have to go to number 2 a lot more, but that's kind of the point, because we've got to clear that stuff out of there. One of the big things that happens, especially once this leaky gut starts happening, it's something called biofilms. Basically, these pathogenic microbes, what they will do is put up a slimy, mucousy layer over themselves called a biofilm, and it's composed of many different things, but it's basically its defense mechanism. It's saying, well, you're going to want to try to get rid of me, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to coat myself in basically this slime to keep anything that you throw at me from being able to affect me. It's one of the big things that happens, and it can selectively remove it and put it back there, you know, in varying thicknesses depending on what it's being fed or what it's being attacked with. So one of the big things that is helpful for knocking that stuff down and out is this microblast. It is really good at helping kill those biofilms. Now, it doesn't just work in the digestive tract, it works all over the place. You can read the ingredients online. Honestly, even if I told you about them, it wouldn't make much of a difference. The key thing I want to tell you about is anybody that's got these autoimmune issues, if you have the leaky gut, I mean, if you've got any form of any health issue whatsoever, I would really start with this. If you've got anxiety, if you've got, you know, depression, all of these can be caused by this disrupted gut health. So this is something I really want to have you look into. The other thing I like to talk about is how to avoid this, because everybody, you know, we all seem to get so caught up in, oh gosh, you know, what can I take to fix it? There's also what can I stop doing to fix it is going to be really important. And so one of the things you can do is really avoid wheat products, and it's not so much because of the gluten. The gluten can be an issue for some people, yes, once the microbiome has been destroyed enough or you have caused a systemic reaction over and over, then your body has this reactive tendency to gluten because of the glyphosate that's in it, the Roundup. And that's one of the big problems, because glyphosate is just nuclear. It wipes everything out. It will shred your DNA. It shuts off detoxification pathways in the liver. I mean, it's an endocrine disruptor. This stuff is, if we could brand Roundup, the sooner we could do that, we would save more lives than all of the breast cancer foundations put together for the next 100 years. Like right there, we could wipe that out, because it is such an endocrine disruptor. Ladies, you are very susceptible to it. Men, very susceptible as well. It's going to throw your hormones off. If you're feeding a lot of it to their kids, it can disrupt genital development, all these other things. The big thing also I want to let people know about is you really want to stop, if you can, eating these GMOs. And one of the big things, now, well, there is a such thing called, it's a PR campaign, it's whitewashing. What's the other, there's another term for it. I'll think of it in a little bit. But basically what they do is they go and they astroturf. And they're like, no, all the science says it's great. The science. They'll keep saying this word over and over and over. Science, like they have any idea what they're talking about. I'm here to tell you the opposite side of the science does not paint a pretty picture. And I make nothing from this. I have no reason to go out of my way to tell you this. It would be wonderful if GMOs fed the world. Problem is, this is not really the way it works. And so one of the big things I'm going to talk about is, and I want you to look this up on your own, it's called the epicite gene. And it was, I believe, back in 2004 it was patented. And what this epicite gene was, this gene was inserted into corn, and rats that would eat it would become sterile. And so while this, might seem like a little bit of a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory thing, and go ahead, that's fine, whatever you'd like to do it. I have my opinions, you may have yours. But the thing is, I'd like you to notice, what's another product out there that has to do with sterilization of something? Do you think about it for a sec? It is Monsanto's Terminator seed. And do you know what the Terminator seed does? The Terminator seed, when you buy it, this seed is sterile when it grows that next year, so that farmers can't replant it. They have to come by their own. Well, wonderful, and like a business terms, being like, oh, hey, cool, you can't replant this corn that I've sold you without having to come rebuy the seed. Well, I want you to take a think about that for a second. There is this epicite gene that Monsanto bought back in roughly 2004. Nobody's heard anything about ever since. I'm just saying, you think about this for yourself. And this epicite gene had to do with the sterilization of the rats that ate it. Well, this Terminator seed is basically a sterile seed. And I'd just like you to think about that for just a little bit. And you decide if that is important or not. Do your own research on it. Make sure to not just whatever the hell National Geographic or whoever the latest CNN threw at you, because, oh boy, the Clinton News Network, they're certainly going to tell you the truth, right? Yeah, so you think about that for a little bit. And that's just one topic I'd like to for you to think about. Another one that comes along, and we're going to pop back to this GMO in just a second, is this Roundup. And the thing is, this Roundup, basically what they do with wheat when it comes time to harvest it, they go out and they spray the piss out of it with Roundup, because as a final death knell of this plant trying to survive all of this poison, it releases as many seeds as possible to try and reproduce before it dies. But guess what? It's now slathered in Roundup. If you haven't seen the latest reports of the levels that are in Cheerios that are on the shelves, it is criminal, the level that these things are at. So that's kind of the reason why wheat and gluten is such a big issue, is because of the amount of Roundup we spray on these things. It's ludicrous. So, I mean, organic wheat, obviously better. Wheat just isn't really great for a lot of people, period. So the more you can get that out of you, the better. But let's pop back to this GMO thing. The thing I'd like to talk about too is this genetics again. What they did is they made a seed or a plant that will continually produce this pesticide, which is the Bt toxin. Where the plant originally got this is there was a bacteria that was in the soil. And plants will selectively feed bacteria and funguses and things in the soil depending on which benefit they're going to get from it. It's a mutually symbiotic relationship. And so the plant, when these pests would come in, say insects or grasshoppers or whatever that were eating them, the plants would sense this of them chewing on their leaves and crawling on them. And so it would feed these Bt, this, I believe it's Bacillus thrombosis. I forget the exact name. It's sort of irrelevant. You can look it up. Off the top of my head, don't remember. Anyway, this Bt bacteria, when it would feed it, these bacteria would produce a pesticide that the plant would then excrete from itself that would kill the bugs, and then the bugs would go find a different plant, and then the plant would go back to feeding its other bacteria because it didn't need this Bt anymore. And what it did that, now it's not continually producing this toxin, so insects don't become resistant to it, and now you're not constantly eating in this food. Well, these companies, they found out that, oh hey, there's this gene that this bacteria has that makes this insecticide, and so what we're going to do is we're going to take it and basically virally insert it and blast the stuff with radiation until it finally picks up this gene, and whichever seed survives, the new... Basically, these are chemotherapy survivors that have been infected with a genetically modified virus to insert this gene inside of it. It's not the story they tell you, is it? They paint you this pretty picture that's been going on for millions of years. No, it hasn't. Not even close. So anyway, the big thing that happens is they're starting to find this Bt toxin doesn't just go away, and neither does the gene that gets inserted into there. We're going to focus on one of the biggest ones is a gram-positive bacteria. And gram-positive bacteria, what they're very good at, they've traded a little bit of a defense. There's gram-negative bacteria basically have like a thicker cell wall or a second cell wall or membrane, cell membrane, otherwise the science community is going to come after me like crazy. Anyway, they basically got a gram-negative bacteria has more of a membrane around it that protects it from antibiotics getting in. However, what it does then is it swaps genes with its neighbors more slowly. Gram-positive bacteria, on the other hand, do not have this extra or thicker membrane, and so they can't keep antibiotics out as well. So what they've adapted as a survival mechanism is they readily swap genes with each other going around, so they can swap this antibiotic resistance faster through just swapping genes, and it's called a horizontal gene transfer. So they just swap it back and forth with their buddies, kind of like they're throwing playing cards or whatever back and forth. Be like, hey man, can I borrow your tiller? Bring it over here. Cool, I got it. That's basically what's going on. Well, the problem becomes with this is that this gene that you're reading that's in the corn and the other things that make this insecticide doesn't just go away. They're finding that this gene gets inserted into your microbiome to where you now start producing this Bt pesticide at all times because you've absorbed that information. It's been picked up by your microbiome, and now your guts are basically producing an insecticide 24 hours a day, this Bt toxin. And what it does is it punches holes in cell membranes. And so it's a big problem. And so all these people that have this autoimmune disorder and wonder where it's coming from, well, the thing is, your microbiome, if you're now making an insecticide 24 hours a day, and this insecticide's been able to find, they found it in umbilical cords in babies. I mean, please look into it a little bit. This is not me telling you this because I'm having fun enjoying doing this while I'm having a little bit of fun, informing you about it. But I have better things to do with myself. I'm telling you this because I care. And that unfortunately our science has been so very skewed by corporate interests that it's now it's tobacco science. It's ridiculous. So the big thing you're going to want to do, pick up some of this stuff, and here's where you get started. This is really going to help you, is you got to clean out this tract. We got to kill off and wipe clean the slate of all these microbes that are basically from all the Roundup we've been eating. They're now tolerant to Roundup, which has crowded out the beneficial bacteria. They've now picked up this Bt toxin gene from the soy and the corn, and so they're making insecticide. We got to clear that stuff out, and that's what this is good for. It will help mop up a bunch of these microbes that shouldn't be there. It's really great at supporting the immune system. It's great at bringing that body pH up. It tastes like soap. I'll be square with you. However, it works, and it works well, and it works very, very effectively, cheaply, quickly, and it will get that stuff out. Now, yes, you're going to have to put these probiotics back in when you're done, but the thing is, if you're just taking a probiotic, well, all this stuff is still here. These probiotics, it's kind of like, you're sending a bunch of troops into battle, and there's still a bunch of troops here in battle. If you can knock this army down and then send in your probiotics, it works a whole lot better that way. So I'm not giving you step-by-step instructions yet, because this is a process and a long video that it will take me a little bit of time to explain. But I'm giving you the idea for those of you that are ready to just go ahead on your own. That this is, at least I can give you this information, let you know where this product is. Oh, it's from restandrepair.com. I will put the link in the video up top. So if you found this helpful, share it away with other people, because this is about helping these people that have these chronic issues. Be like, hey, no, listen, there is stuff outside there, that stuff that you can use that is not a prescription drug that just covers this stuff up. We kind of, as much as it sucks, we got to start looking at the source. We got to start saying, hold on, maybe genetically modifying these things isn't the best idea we've ever had. And I mean, come on here. Are we seriously going to pretend like we know it all and we can start playing God and throwing different genetics and there's not going to be any consequences? Do we really believe as a human race that we understand genetics all the way to say, we can put whatever we want in here, don't worry about it, just go ahead and eat it? Come on, let's be realistic here. So, hopefully this video has been helpful, called Microbe Blast, from www.restandrepair.com. Just follow the instructions on the bottle, clean out that digestive tract so you can get a fresh start, get some good probiotics, brew your own kimchi. I'm going to be making some crazy kimchi pretty soon. It's going to be neat. But I have some in the fridge that, oh boy, I used frankincense and quartz crystals and tourmaline and a whole lot of different things. It is an unbelievable probiotic, or an unbelievable kimchi. I'm going to make my next one like nuclear hot so it just burns. But that's what you got to do. Start working on that. If you're looking for another really good probiotic, www.freshandalive.com has something called EM1. I'll do a whole nother video on that soon. But get started with this stuff. Give it a try. Give it a shot. See what you think. And if you like it or you like this video and found it helpful, let the next person know. So that way they can avoid these same pitfalls. The reason I'm telling you this, because I have done it. I was like 300 pounds eating just bags of potato chips and pounds of peanut butter M&Ms, and I'm just because I've done it all wrong. Don't let my mistakes be yours. Let me be the idiot that tells you, hey, I did this, I can tell you it's really dumb. Laugh at me, don't do it. That's kind of the whole goal of this whole thing. So thanks very much, everybody. Hopefully the information has been good, and hopefully you've been armed with, you can put on your belt of knowledge or belt of truth that you've got and go out and fight the good fight. And so remember, everybody, to stay healthy, my friends.